Hello, this is Matt, and you're listening to That Time We Woke Up in a Podcast and Had to Explain Manga, our heated adventures overanalyzing manga we find interesting, otherwise known as the Over Manga Cast. And this week we're back on the high seas as we're reading more of One Piece by Eiichiro Oda, chapters 8 through 21, which covers the introduction of Buggy the Clown, future king of the pirates. Enjoy the episode.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Over Manga Cast. My name is Sam, and usually at the top of the show we talk about our familiarity with the franchise, but this is the second week in a row we've done this. Go listen to last week's episode, you already know. So, how about we leap right back into our adventures on the high seas of One Piece then? Anyway, what did they say on the 4Kids dub on the last piece of One Piece?
Well, I'd forgotten about that.
It has slowly been coming back to me in a very unpleasant reminder of the linear passage of time.
Oh.
But yeah, on our last episode, Luffy had finally managed to get one singular crewmate, Roronoa Zoro, an extremely powerful swordsman. You would think this would make him better at sailing the high seas. Unfortunately, neither of them have a directional sense worth a damn.
Nope.
It actually made him worse.
Well, you can't have them all, can you, folks? Seriously, if you were a well-rounded pirate, I mean, really, it would be like...
You would not be quirky enough to be in this manga.
You'd be Shanks.
You'd be Shanks, yeah.
Really? Yeah, so they're starving to death now.
I mean, considering they both consume the calories of, like, a small band of people by themselves.
Well, they're all young men. I mean, yeah.
High metabolism. That's the excuse that shonens usually use for dipping into this trope constantly.
I am a shonen protagonist. I must eat 80 billion calories a day.
They eat normal-sized meals until they get on the Grand Line. Well,
from what I've heard, everything's bigger in the Grand Line.
Hopefully. Yep. God damn
it. Not unpacking that. Luffy is so desperate for food that he sees a bird flying overhead and is like, alrighty, we're having chicken tonight. Gum rocket!
And he thinks his bird is, you know, small.
Bird-sized.
Bird-sized. Well, it is bird-sized.
It's at it's the biggest seagull you've ever seen.
It is the size of a non-avian bird.
Yes, it is that bird from the Walmart parking lot. You know the one.
So Luffy gets snatched up by it, and
they kind of snatch each other up. It's an unpleasant experience for all parties involved, really.
The bird's either really tiny and really up close, or really big and really far away.
As it turns out, it was the latter, as it catches Luffy's whole ass head in its beak and starts flapping away.
I mean, who really won out here? Kind of fell right into his mouth. I was just minding my business.
Yeah, the bird did end up being the winner in this regard.
I mean, it's chewing on rubber now. I don't know how much you can consider that a win.
Look, that bird has got some really good news that it's got to deliver, and it's just really excited about it.
Yeah. It's just enjoying a nice piece of Gumu Gumu as it's doing its flight.
Could possibly go wrong.
Oh, well, in the meantime, Zoro is going to try to collect his idiot captain. He's very displeased about the circumstance.
Yes, but it is a job that he will have not just this once, but throughout the series.
Many times.
He is the adult.
For the time being.
Yes, for the time
being.
being. Yes.
Everything's relative.
But as Zoro is sailing, is like rowing along to catch up with Luffy, he finds some pirates just kind of floating in the water, and he's like, hey, grab on if you can. And they do, and immediately pull steel on him to be like, we're taking over your ship. And I love this page turn, because it's Zoro just eyebrow raised like he's the Rock.
He's like, you just fucked up, and I'm about to explain why.
Next page, all the other pirates, missing teeth, swollen faces, just like, oh yes, Mr. Roronoa Zoro, sir, we're so happy to be rowing this boat for you. Sorry for the misunderstanding. So why were you idiots just floating in the middle of the ocean? It's because of that lady.
That lady.
And we cut to a One Piece flashback of if you know, you know, it's our girl Nami passed out on a treasure chest in a ship just kind of in the middle of the sea because she messed
That's
up. She's lost.
yeah, damsel in distress.
I'm just so hungry. Even just a piece of bread. I don't care about this treasure anymore. You can have it.
Now, some wiser men, some alarm bells should be going off. But
Oh,
alas, these are not the men. These are
nope.
not.
Most characters in most manga are idiots, so
Yeah, girlie, we'll help you, but first we gotta examine this treasure. What's this? The treasure chest is empty. Hey, wait a minute, she's on our ship and sailing away! Ah!
not only can you have what's in the chest, you can have the ship too.
I'm like, that's incredibly reasonable. And then we get Nami's weird superpower of how good she is with predicting the weather.
She is a meteorological savant because she somehow managed to time this ruse perfectly with the incoming squall that would flood the small dinghy she was using as her bait boat and capsize these men.
Which is interesting because does she ever state that in addition to, being a thief, that she particularly studied meteorology, or is this organically a power that she has of some sort?
You're asking questions.
She says she's really good at navigation.
I will take her word for that.
Meteorology's included because it's like wind patterns and
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She learned at the pirate college or the local community college, and
Yeah.
she got all A's.
She did an internship at AccuWeather East Blue.
Yeah.
An internship's one word.
These particular pirates that Zoro has picked up and that Nami scammed happen to be members of Buggy's crew.
Really, they scam themselves.
Yeah, and also Zoro's press gagged them into service is really what's happening now.
He has, yes. They are pirates in the crew of Buggy the Clown, the most ferocious pirate in these parts, having eaten the fruit of the devil.
Ah, yes, the notorious pirate Buggy the Clown.
Buggy the Clown.
Is he actually Buggy the Clown?
No,
Yes.
but that's a fun
No.
joke because the middle name being D is a whole thing. It's
What's his last name?
His last name is the Clown.
Yeah, sure. Maybe.
Probably.
Somebody knows. Somebody can write down in the chat.
I don't think people necessarily have last names in One Piece.
I mean, Luffy has one. His first name is Monkey.
You know what? You're right.
He's Monkey D. Luffy.
Actually, no, his family name is Monkey, but
Right, because
Yes.
everything else in One Piece is incredibly Western, except their naming structure is
But
Japanese.
Zoro even has a last name
To be fair, Zoro has a very Japanese name, which is
because he's a swordsman. Kinda
it's very confusing until you get 900 chapters in.
I'm glad we cleared it up by then. That's very comforting.
But yes, Nami had made it to an island. Unfortunately, that island is currently under the control of the Buggy Pirates, and she is now on the run through the streets, having stolen from the one of their away teams. But she is saved by Deus Ex Rubberman as Luffy finally breaks free of the parrot and falls to plummet down like a meteor between her and the other pirate.
Well, to be fair, what's actually happened is the Buggy Pirates are just messing around, shooting down things with their cannons. So they shoot down the bird that was going to eat Luffy.
Oh right, yeah, because they're just bored, violent idiots.
Meanwhile, Nami in her escape has also nixed a map of the Grand Line.
I also love how she happens to be in the right place at the right time when Luffy falls straight down and recognizes immediately her opportunities. Like, oh man, boss, you came to rescue me.
I'll leave these guys to you later. And Luffy's just sitting there like,
What?
I've never seen this woman before in my life. Oh, I'm being kidnapped.
Yeah, and we get the first instance of a dude attacking Luffy, and he gets his hat knocked off, and suddenly he immediately one-shots him and goes, "Don't touch the hat." Except he blocked an attack with it just last arc, so it's like, whatever, bud.
Yeah.
The hat is selectively invulnerable for plot relevant moments. It's a
Well,
shonen.
What was it you said last week, Jake? The hat is Gwen Stacy's neck.
The hat is Gwen Stacy's neck.
But yes, Luffy manages to defeat the pirates, meets up with Nami afterwards. I love how Nami tries playing the suave power dynamic, just kicking her feet back on the awning, just like, man, you did great. How about you and I team up and go steal some treasure? And Luffy's like, nah, I don't want to, and starts walking away. Luffy can't get power dynamic because he's too busy just being Luffy.
Yeah, he doesn't want money. He doesn't want ladies. He wants adventure. Like, he's got that real alpha male grind set on. He's not tempted.
God.
He's not tempted by females.
We're not doing this again, Matt.
Oh.
As Nami is trying to team up with the latest strong person who can help her achieve her goals.
Until she inevitably betrays them, yes.
Yes, this is the way. We get a side scene of our arc villain, Buggy the Clown, as one of the survivors from that scuffle goes to report what happened. And in his report, he says,
only the robber knows, at which point he's cut off.
What do you mean, rubber nose? Do you think my nose looks like it's made out of rubber to you? So big and red and shiny, is it funny?
I'm just saying, this guy has absolutely no insecurities at all.
Do I entertain you? Do I look like some kind of clown?
No, Captain Buggy, it was just a mistake.
I'm just saying, if you did not feel yourself, worthy of the title of clown, you shouldn't call yourself Buggy.
Well, that's his name.
Well, you can change that as an adult and as a pirate. So, I mean, that's a choice.
I don't think that's true.
I really do love Buggy because he's so sensitive about the big nose, but he's also leaned so hard into it with the circus aesthetic.
Exactly. That's the hypocrisy for me, dude. You lean into it.
he leans into
he's a petulant, violent idiot. Of course he does.
Mm-hmm. And using some mysterious power that we're not sure what it is, he telepathically lifts up this pirate that has displeased him into the line of fire of the cannon and fire the buggy ball.
Oh, so that's
all of the cannonballs, buggy balls, because I have yet to see a regular cannonball.
So I think they have a bunch of cannonballs, and Buggy can say to use the buggy balls, and the buggy balls are more explosive.
Yeah.
Right, you are right. He kills this guy with a regular cannonball instead of one of the valuable buggy balls.
They only got a couple of those buggy balls, so
I don't
they're
know.
Gonna have a lot less by the end of this arc.
I know. I'm like, they use those so frequently, so I don't know if they're as rare as they purport to be.
They always have to have at least two.
Yeah,
two on hand.
Can't single them out. You gotta have a pair of them.
Yeah,
for some reason.
And a third
Close
right at the
in
tip of your
hand.
nose.
This entire show. It's everywhere, man. It's everywhere.
I do like how they don't reveal. They hint very heavily at Buggy's devil fruit power without directly revealing it. Because
yeah, I mean, I knew what it was because I remember watching this arc in the anime, but like it's really clever the way that they'll, like, when he's lifting up the poor unfortunate pirate. I mean, poor, they're all jerks, but they frame him in such a way that you can't see the arm that he's using to lift the
guy
the minion. Like it's framed in a clever way that once you know what it is, you
Makes
notice all
perfect
the tricks.
sense.
Yeah, you notice all the tricks that they're pulling.
Yes, after Buggy makes this display of cruelty, we link up again with Nami and Luffy, who
Squatting in a random house. as you
Squatting.
do.
I love just how willfully oblivious Luffy is. Like, he is 2 sentences behind Nami's entire exposition dump and keeps asking for reclarification. If you were keeping up, you'd know what I'm saying!
So this Nami pirate's a real bad deal. I'm Nami!
I'm Nami! Oh, so you're a pirate? I'm not a pirate! Do you want to join my crew? No!
Yeah, it starts off with stating the things that they want to do, not what they are so much. I mean, Nami mentions that she robs pirates pretty quickly, but Luffy didn't particularly care that Zoro was a pirate hunter, so he basically just glosses that over because we'll figure it out later. They both independently want to go to the Grand Line, so it's like, yeah, we're gonna work together. You can be the navigator for our pirate crew, and the mood instantly sours.
Mm-hmm. Oh, dirty pirate like you. I'm not some pillaging murderer. Forget what I said. You can keep your pirating ways and your stupid hat with whatever treasure you sewed into the brim. I don't know. You're really making up a lot of stuff. It's just a hat. I just treasure it because it has an emotional meaning to me.
Oh yeah, you like that hat? Well, I hate pirates and I love money and tangerines. What a weird exposition dump, Nami.
That's oddly specific, but I'm not going to pay attention to it. Anyway, where's Buggy? I want to go punch him. Not for any particular reason. He just seems like a good fight.
Well, there's a joke there in that tangerines are a symbol of wealth. So she's saying I love money and more money.
Mm.
Yes, in Eastern culture,
Oh, that's clever.
tangerines are like, especially in China, they would give them for New Year's for like small children
Neat.
before commerce made, citrus super common. I think in the West too, it was really special to get citrus.
Well, yeah, because shipping and keeping things fresh was very hard until you had refrigerated trucks.
Yeah, so it's like someone saying I like money and silk. Like,
Yeah.
they mean the same thing, basically.
So would you think that Nami was high maintenance?
No, I think Nami takes care of herself, and that's kind of the problem. 'Cause she has a sensitive taste.
She is not a kept woman. She does the keeping of herself.
She does say that her goal is to acquire 100 million berries and purchase a village.
But will she stop after that?
Probably not.
Exactly.
From what I understand of the various members of the Straw Hat Pirates, Nami fulfills the girl boss part of Gaslight Gatekeep Girl Boss.
She also fulfills the gaslight and a lot of the gatekeep. Really,
You know what? You're right. She is all 3. She's the hat trick. As Luffy is going to confront Buggy with his new friend, his new boon companion, to become a navigator, a part of his pirate crew. What do you mean you're giving me up to the pirates? I'm not. What? Hey, wait a minute! And he's dragged away by the Buggy pirates.
She literally betrays him immediately.
He's hogtied in half a page.
I do love how they're gonna leave the house and Nami goes like, hold on, I need to get a couple of things, and then comes back with a giant thing of rope. Do you always take rope with you? Yep.
Rope's handy.
That tracks.
I don't know what you're into, but I mean, it always comes in handy.
Yep, brought the Sioux prisoner for you, Captain Buggy. Mind if I join your crew?
But you wouldn't join Luffy's crew. I see how it is.
Well, we get a lot of internal monologues of her. I am also going to immediately betray these idiots because they're awful. Which, in all honesty, fair.
You know what they say about guys with big noses. But yes, the Buggy Pirates go to celebrate their victory of the return of the map. A great circus and pirate themed binging of drinks comes into play, and we learned something interesting about Nami. She's apparently got proficiency in Constitution saves because she can outdrink even pirates.
I gotta say, Nami right here is my ideal D&D character. Gets into drinking competitions and just wants to spend all their money on property management.
Given what I've seen of you playing D&D characters, that tracks, yeah. Meanwhile, Luffy, tied up in a cage, trying to chew his way through the bars. Because Luffy.
What an insane cage they have, too. It's like 2 giant, thick slabs of concrete and a bunch of iron bars.
Yeah. Heavy enough that it took 5 men to carry.
I'm sure this won't come up later as an absurd Shonen power scaling bit.
But Yes, they decide that it's time to be rid of this prisoner. So, as part of the spectacular show in this victory feast, we are going to destroy him with one of the special buggy balls. But of course, we must first demonstrate their power. So, load one into the cannon and shoot it into all of these conveniently abandoned buildings. As with one shot of the buggy balls, they level an entire street.
That buggy ball would have leveled a smaller town. And I'm like, Buggy, if you just define a town by the amount of buildings that can be destroyed by one of your like pieces of ammunition, doesn't really count, buddy. Like,
Yeah, yeah, by the amount of property that can be destroyed by his balls.
Yes, continue.
Yes,
they do go on about his buggy balls quite a lot.
they're quite potent.
Very impressive.
And now Luffy is going to get one of those buggy balls right in the face. And Nami, you're going to light the fuse.
It's really amazing just how quickly he can reload those buggy balls after blowing the load of one of them.
He's ready to go right again.
Well, Nami does need to help. Let's move on. We're adults.
No, we're not.
Debatably.
But yes, Buggy, with a very sinister look on his face, tells Nami to light the fuse and destroy Luffy, annihilating him with one of the buggy balls.
Mm-hmm.
But despite being
which I mean, like, to be fair, that as much of an idiot as Buggy can be at times, he's also not like completely incompetent, because that is a good test of loyalty to the person who just showed up saying, "Hey, I betrayed my old boss, and I want you to be my boss now." Like, yeah, that very easily could be a trick to get someone infiltrated into the crew. So
turns out, people who prove themselves to you by betraying people, not the most trustworthy.
Yeah. As it turns out, Nami does not have the stones to go ahead and murder a man in cold blood. And
she turns down the buggy ball. Although I love how her hesitation is mistaken by one of the drunken guys to be like, "Oh, this dame doesn't know how cannons work. Don't worry, I'll figure it out.
Here's how you light a fuse, sweetheart.
Here's how you handle the buggy balls."
But before that happens, we do get a great scene where Nami is freaking out and realize she's coming up with like the crisis of faith here that she actually can't be the badass she's pretending to be.
Mm-hmm.
And Luffy's just like, "Oh, what? You can't do it? That's really sad. You kind of messed up. You shouldn't have been dealing with pirates if you don't got the stones for it." Man. And I'm like, "Yeah, Luffy."
Yeah.
I love Luffy here because he is staring death in the face, and he's seeing her blink and is like, "Yeah, maybe you shouldn't have come up against pirates unprepared."
Because like,
unprepared to be a cold murderer? No, unprepared to risk your own life.
Yeah, that's Luffy right here. He's more upset that Nami made a decision and isn't sticking to it.
Isn't following through.
He's like, "Okay, you want to betray me and be a successful pirate? Cool. I can respect that. Whatever's going on right now is clearly you not standing up for what you believe in, and I can't respect that."
Mm-hmm. And he's got this smug told you so grin on his face, and God, that's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it's very similar to the moment from our last reading. Convinces the Navy that Kobe isn't one of them.
Mm-hmm. And Nami comes to her decision as the mansplaining pirate lights the fuse. She assembles a 7-section stave and whacks him over the head.
This scene's a little insane because that means she takes those 3 combining like poles that clearly must extend out too and assembles that in the same fluid motion she hits someone in. This is some magical girl timing.
I've read enough Legend of Driz to believe it. Dahlia is a good character. You're all just mean.
No. I do like how Buggy's really upset about this because like, "Hey, what do you mean you betrayed me?"
I put you to this test of loyalty and you failed, and now I'm insulted. Buggy does truly contain multitudes, and each one of them contradicts the other.
I love the great conflict here is that Nami is actually standing up for what she believes in. She's like, "I'd never become a pirate. I'll never become what I hate and kill someone.
I'm no low-down murderer."
But doesn't realize the fuse on the cannon has been lit anyway. And Luffy's like, "Oh no!"
Luffy's like, oh, wait, the fierce is not, I gotta get out of here. Wait a minute. Starts chewing away at the bars.
I was okay dying in a really cool, like, betrayal scene. Dying by accident is not cool. I don't like this.
And Nami's like, oh, wait a minute. No, I can't fend off the pirates and stop this all at the same time.
Well, to be fair, Luffy does get pretty far through those bars.
With his teeth, which is kind of insane.
Hey, boy drinks his milk. What did we say last time?
But don't worry. Luckily, Zoro convinced those. The scene where they land the boat and the three pirates are just like, okay, we made it to the island. Let's just go our separate ways. And Zoro's like, yeah, I've changed the deal. You're gonna take me to your boss now.
You're gonna take me to your boss, and I'm gonna kick his ass.
He might know where my captain is.
I mean, your funeral, buddy. I do love how, like, Zoro ex machina, he shows up and mollywops all the pirates, and then just turns to Luffy like, man, you really are a handful, aren't you? You're goofing off in this cage. What are you doing?
Oh, wait, hold on. Who's this big clown-looking guy? He looks like some kind of arc antagonist. I'm just gonna gank him right now. And he slices Buggy up into pieces, and everyone's just like, oh, wow, that was too quick.
Yeah, Luffy complains about it being too easy. The rest of Buggy's crew seems to be more amused than anything else, though.
I really like the art here because Buggy looks so incredibly confident to be facing down the legendary swordsman Zoro. And, you know, Zoro does the like 3 sword slash move that we saw take down Captain Morgan. And he's still got this like open-mouthed cackling grin on his face, even as he's flying to pieces.
As we find out, turns out Buggy hard counters sword users the same way Luffy would hard counter boxers.
Yes. But that hasn't been revealed yet. And I love just like Buggy's insane confidence. It looks so unearned until next chapter, Zoro's like, fight's over. Well, better go get my captain and as he is stabbed by the disembodied floating hand of Buggy wielding several knives.
Yeah, and like this isn't your typical shonen anime stab wound. This buddy has like a thick knife shoved through his kidney. Like this is an insane stab wound for a manga. Like
well, no. We find out soon that he missed the internal organs.
All of them.
No, Skay. Can't come up with anything original.
Apparently, Zoro can move his internal organs as well. I wonder if he's poison resistant.
Who knows?
I like how Buggy ate the chop fruit. It's revealed, and you'd think, oh, cool. So he can like dissect his bodies, like different subsections. The real power of this fruit is the telekinesis.
Yeah. He chops his body into different bits, and those bits can float around with a pretty extreme range.
And dexterity, too.
He is a chop man. Slice and dice all you like, but you cannot kill me. I like the panel of Luffy going, whoa, that guy's a freak. And the dialogue box, gum man. Pointing right at him.
Zoro is about to be ganked by Buggy the Clown. Luffy gets real upset and calls him Big Nose. And that's the thing you don't say.
You don't insult the nose.
Yeah, so...
Thankfully, we have proof that Luffy's teeth are stronger than steel. As a chop hand goes to stab him, Luffy catches the blade in his teeth and breaks it.
I'm just saying, if you're going to be like doing power scaling feats right here, my man Luffy beat someone while hogtied in a cage with only his teeth and the other guy had a knife.
Yes, if anything, I'd be terrified.
Luffy is absurd.
This is like gag manga levels of DBZ power scaling. This is like Goku gets shot in the face and like goes on.
Just gets up. Well, but they're still in a bit of a predicament because Zoro is in fact injured, and also Luffy might have broken a knife with his teeth like that, but he is also in a cage, and he's not worked all the way through the bars yet. He's still trapped. Can he like he can stretch his head. Can he not just fit through those bars?
So-
I
so-
kept expecting that to happen.
So he should be able to fit through those bars. That's 100% like. I don't
Try
get what's going
turning
on there.
sideways. He's a pretty skinny young lad.
He's so tiny. He's a twig.
He's also a rubber, so you could like stretch or something.
So
like he's done in yes.
I think this has the problem I normally have when we read a manga and there are jail bars, and I'm just like, for them to be like close enough that you can't just slip through them, I guess it kind of ruins the artistic value of the piece, but like, Luffy's made of rubber.
And Luffy's made of rubber. Any size bars. They'd have to be a mesh.
Look, I would say that like Luffy has the wherewithal to not do that while he is being watched by a bunch of dudes and would just get stabbed or shot.
No,
But he doesn't care.
But, yeah, I know.
He gets shot and that doesn't do anything. So I mean, again, what does he have to worry about?
That doesn't explain after they get away with the cage.
So I think this is where we kind of run into some weirdness with Devil's Fruit powers. I think the deal with Luffy at this current point is he has the properties of rubber, but it's not like he's actually made out of like silly putty.
So it's like his brain is still like the same shape and could still get concussed and whatnot.
Like he can stretch things, but yeah, he's not stretching his eyes or his head. Like his skin stretches and stuff.
Yeah, because I mean, like, I make the joke about couldn't he just stretch it? But like when we see him stretching he like pulls his cheeks. Like that's the only thing that he's done with his head up to this
like
point.
he can make his body stretch is not the same thing of like his body is constantly
being
made of rubber.
amorphous. Yeah.
He's not Mr. Fantastic.
He is simply fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
You remember how I said that cage was so heavy it took 5 men to lift it? Zoro with a severe stab wound is as strong as 5 men as he hauls the cage onto his shoulder and books it out of there after lifting the cannon around so that the buggy ball creates a massive smoke cloud to let them get away.
And this is after Luffy's telling Zoro, "You're hurt, just run away and leave me." And Zoro's like, "No can do, Captain."
Zoro, if you do that, you're going to split your guts out, then I'll put them back in.
Yeah, I really like how the chapter titles we've been seeing have really implied that Zoro and Luffy in between these two arcs have actually gone on a couple of like adventures. They've done like stuff together and have built a bond.
Yeah, they've done some minor things that aren't worthy of a chapter.
They're fast friends. It's really what. I also like how in the scene after Zoro puts the cage on his back, we get the overhead shot of the Naruto combat platform they were on.
Yeah.
Yes, a gridded ground surrounded by a like metal rod fence and a single fence. And a single building, and it's covered in smoke. This is a Naruto battleground.
All we need is a water tower, and this is where Naruto and Sasuke first tested the Chidori and Rasengan against each other. With this getaway, they are able to escape into the streets of the town, where they still need to get Luffy out of the cage, and Zoro is now out of blood
bleeding profusely.
I was about to say, they get a lion tamer to track down the blood coming out of Zoro.
I think this is the first chapter that like Shonen Jump will do this every now and again of like the like shading quality jumps up.
Oh, I think that's because that's a color that in like the magazine. That's a color page.
It's a color one. Okay, yeah, that would explain it.
Yeah,
I've noticed a lot of Shonen Jumps. Every couple of chapters, you'll get one of these like art bump type things.
So I think if you read the more recent chapters, it has the like colored pages. But I think a lot of what Shonen Jump did for One Piece was shove a bunch of the volumes in that they have digital copies of, and in the volumes, the full panel color pages are black and white.
Oh, we get introduced to the best character, Peso.
Yep, Doggo.
And Moji the Lion Tamer is the main antagonist for this little section.
I just really like how Nami managed to steal the key, and they're like, "Oh yay, now we can unlock the cage and get Luffy out of here." And then the dog eats the key
For no reason either. Like
He literally is 100% like, fuck you.
I hate you. Go away.
Yes.
This is mine.
This is mine now. I mean, strictly speaking, they will get the key back eventually.
I mean, yes, but on our schedule.
Yeah, but we get introduced to another character who's Boodle, the mayor of this abandoned town, who came back in body armor to check on this dog. And then we get a typical One Piece plot line. Also, they just dump Zoro in an abandoned house to sleep because my man is out of blood.
He punched out all my blood.
Zoro, what happened? You don't seem to have any blood. Nothing happened. Zoro, what do you mean?
Nothing happened. But yes, Zoro is sleeping off his severe blood loss and traumatic stab wound. We get the backstory of this dog. He is the faithful hound of a man who ran this pet food store. But before the pirates showed up, the pet food store owner went off to go to the hospital to get treated for anime dying to death disease, and then he died to death. But he left the dog in charge of the store, so the dog will not let anybody approach.
So you know that episode of Futurama.
Immediately what popped in my head, I'm like, oh no. But they do preface with the fact that he is a smart dog, so he is aware of what happens, but it's just pure grit that he's just like, no, I'm going to do it anyway.
Instead, we just see the dog sitting on an empty swing set outside of the pet store, looking at all the other happy owners inside. Oh, I mean, I don't know. In another manga, I'd make fun of how generic this plotline is.
Yeah.
But in One Piece, I think that's also kind of the joke. Like,
One Piece is full of these uber melodramatic tragedy plots.
I mean, the original like dog that Seymour was even based off of occurred in Japan, so probably even bigger in Japan. I'm just saying myself.
That's
yeah,
fair.
and I mean, I think the big thing about One Piece is that like it has a sense of humor about tropes, like as a general rule, but also the thing that sort of struck me about reading One Piece is it does a lot of the like generic stereotypical stock standard shonen stuff, but like really, really well. Like it pours everything it has into executing these tried, and in some cases tried too much, tropes and making them work like played straight. Like even as it has a sense of humor about, boy, this sure does seem generic, doesn't it? Like,
but yeah, we do get reiterated the whole thing about the Chow Chow was the dog's name, I think. Yeah, how the whole thing is he's protecting the store. He's probably even aware his master is never coming back, so it's not like he's waiting for him. This store is the only thing he has left of him, so this store is his treasure. And this got reiterated earlier with Luffy saying the hat is his treasure, and that's kind of like a through line of One Piece, in that like everyone has a treasure, which is something that is crucial to them and important and worth fighting for.
Unless you're Buggy, who only cares about money and everything else is dumb.
That's the thing, is the villains see treasure as money.
As just money, yeah.
Which is kind of weird, because Nami sees treasure as money, but Nami's also kind of bemoaned for that until character arcs is what happens, really.
Yeah, I believe I recall the character arc that goes into Nami's backstory, but we did not get into it here, so...
There's a reason she wants the money. She actually is a developed human.
Getting more developed after the time skip.
All right, we got it. Yes.
There does seem to be shades of there's more to Nami than she's saying out loud, but also her materialism is presented as being not so different from Buggy. I mean, like, the big thing is Luffy is a pirate movie pirate, whereas there are a lot of, like, true to the history of piracy pirates all over the place. And, like, Nami is being unfavorably compared to the thing that she hates the most, when what she really wants to be is a pirate movie pirate, like Luffy.
She wants to be free and do whatever she wants, really.
Yeah.
And like, but like the entire point of this whole arc or mini arc in the arc itself is this dog is someone Luffy respects because even though it's completely outclassed, it cares about something and it's willing to fight for it. Which is kind of what he was like negging on Nami earlier about, was like, well, come on, you betrayed me. You clearly believe in whatever it is you're doing. Fight for it. Kill me. And she couldn't do that. And he's like, then what are you doing? Like,
Then you don't really believe the things you're saying.
yeah, because Luffy would rather like protect the things you care about, do the things you want to do, don't let anyone stop you. Gotta live by the code of Shanks.
The code is more guidelines than actual rules.
Oh, 100%. But yeah, so basically Moji finds them. He's got his big lion.
His comedically large lion.
Basically, he sees Luffy is still in the cage. This is a huge cage, so the mayor and Nami can't possibly help him, so they go run away. The dog refuses to move, and he's just like, okay, well, you're still in the cage, and I guess that's good enough. I'm gonna go kill Zoro now. Tell me where he is. And Luffy's like, no, I don't like you. I'm not gonna do that.
I have no reason or incentive to do that thing.
It also kind of implies Luffy specifically goading him to do this. I don't know. I don't know my read is on this, knowing like future One Piece, whether or not Luffy fully understands the plan is get the lion to attack the cage so he can escape.
Oh no, I've very much my interpretation of Luffy is he's fly by wire and just like
He's more
the
so
seat of his pants.
he said what he felt, and the fact that it worked out for him, great. I like that reading a lot.
That is just more proof to Luffy that he should keep saying what he means and meaning what he says.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's a little bit of a. There was probably a part of him where it occurred to him that maybe the lion could break the cage, but he also was just going to say what he said because that's his default. It sort of goes back to what I was saying about it's not really a clever plan, and it was seen through immediately. But it's like he's not totally unaware of his situation.
Luffy is not aware of a lot of things.
could be convinced.
Luffy is selectively attentive.
Luffy is the fool. The tarot card.
But I also said what I said.
Mm-hmm.
I do like how Moji's so strung up on the fact that Zoro is actually like a known person. He's a famous pirate bounty hunter. So the goal for him is to go kill Zoro because that'll increase his rep. So even though Luffy gets knocked out of the cage, he's still like, well, I'm just going to find Zoro and go kill him because that's worth something to me. Oh, no, I guess we need to attack the pet food store because my lion's hungry because we're villains. Yep.
we need to be cartoonishly evil and Wooby the Stog even more.
Oh, what? You're fighting for what you believe in, dog? Richie the lion, kill him.
Kill this dog that you are 20 times the size of.
Not with your teeth, that would instantly kill him. Use your claw so he can be thrown into a wall and then bleed out dramatically on the side.
And it's like, where's Luffy during all this? Well, Luffy got out of the cage and then got slapped through a building by self-same lion. He's fine. He got up and was like, wow, that was a trip, wasn't it? Anyway, where was I?
Yeah, and he comes back and the guy got bit by the dog. He's like, well, this is dumb. And then Luffy comes back. He's gone and he sees the dog just sitting in front of the pet food store burning to like in an
burning to the ground.
This fire is insane.
This is a fire that would have taken like minutes at minimum to catch. Luffy was gone for maybe 90 seconds.
Also, very convenient. The house Zoro's sleeping in that's very close by is not burned at all by this massive inferno.
It's drama fire.
Well, sometimes you need a little hot nap.
Yeah, and it's just Luffy. Luffy stops dead in his tracks. He's like been happy-go-lucky about this up until he sees the dog just barking at the fire, like just distraught. Like watching the thing he cares most about turn to ash in front of him.
Yes.
And Luffy just goes, oh, oh, I'm gonna have to pick someone up today.
He essentially says just that.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
sorry.
I'm going to go, I'm going to go get a lion skin rug today.
Well, to be fair, he's actually kind of like reasonable with the lion. With Richie, he kind of like purposely like does a cool like twisting arm thing to gum gavel, knock him into the ground. And it's only once he has to fight Moji, the guy who did this and mocked that dog's like the thing that it was important to that dog,
Dedication.
is when we get the Luffy panel of, hey,
Actual rage.
I'm gonna fucking end you.
I came here to clobber you.
We get the panel of Luffy with actual anger in his eyes. Flip the page to him one-shotting the dude into the ground. Not gum nonsense. He just manhandles him with a fist to the face.
I love how the shot of Luffy just delivering the meanest right hook directly into Moji's nose feels so much more brutal than the like cartoonish gum gavel move that buries Richie's entire head in the pavement. It's so much more visceral as Luffy's just like,
It's more realistic. It's a real punch.
You see like the muscles in Luffy's arm tensing up and like the veins. He did not gum this guy. He punched him into the ground.
Yeah, you see like Moji's leg kicking up, and it's in kind of the same line of motion as Luffy, so it looks like it's putting a whole lot of just leverage directly into Luffy's fist. And God, it's such a good punch. But Luffy goes and comforts the dog, saying that he fought well, and retrieving the one box of pet food that he took from the defeated lion. And now he and Choo-Choo are blood brothers. And because this is One Piece, and we have to juxtapose every extremely serious moment with a very silly moment, Moji crawls back to Buggy headquarters, so knocked for a loop by that dramatic punch that he says, "Captain, beware the rub." Because he can't finish saying rubber man. and
he passes out.
Buggy, he must have used some diabolical rubbing technique on him. Which will forever be my favorite panel.
I mean, in a way, in a way, he kind of did.
A diabolical rubbing technique. Rubbing his knuckles directly into your jaw.
It's a very deep tissue massage.
The deepest of the tissue massages.
Yeah, the marrow in your bones. But that is that is the end of stage 1 of the war against the Buggy Pirates. So
really, this war could have ended within like 10 minutes if a certain somebody had, not been super insecure. But whatever.
Well, Nami's got a lot of problems.
Lots of people making a slightly smarter decision could have ended this arc several chapters ago, but then we wouldn't have drama, so...
Like, to be fair, if Nami hadn't betrayed Luffy,
they literally could have just left.
Now, this is a lesson for everyone. And from this, we did learn something. Not quite sure what that was, but
we'll figure it out on the rest of the journey.
We'll figure it out after this. And welcome back to the show, folks, where last we left our piratical protagonists. They had just finished defeating Circus Clown, Lion Tamer. It's kind of the theme for this particular arc antagonist.
We've pile-drived a lion. This is completely normal for manga.
We pile-drived a lion, and that was not the most intense finishing move in that previous section. But we open up with the aftermath of that battle, where the mayor, the old man in the knight armor. Actually, you know what? I hadn't realized before, but he is wearing like an old-fashioned style, like breastplate and pauldrons, I guess to make him appear more old.
Well,
It's
it's
a fact.
because it's a historical piece.
Mhm. Much like him. Yeah, that ends up working fairly well as the mayor, incensed by Luffy's young man bravado and defeating his enemies. He says, "A man's got to do what a man's got to do. I'm the mayor of this town. I was here at its founding. I'm not just going to sit back and let it be destroyed. I'm going to go kick Buggy's ass myself."
And then Buggy randomly starts shooting buildings, as you
Mhm.
do.
A whole 2-page spread of him firing the buggy ball and leveling another street, including the building that Zoro was in. But don't worry, he's fine.
One hell of an alarm clock. Wait, it's Golden Age of Piracy. Do they have alarm clocks?
Oh,
They've had alarm clocks for like centuries, technically, haven't they?
Jacob, you don't want to break open the can of worms at what One Piece's technological level is.
They have telepathic snails as long distance phones.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I forgot about those.
We have international calling on the snail phone.
I don't think it's international, but it gets ridiculous.
Anyway, the mayor openly admits that he's being a reckless idiot and goes to fight Buggy. And all of the Straw Hats are roused by this display of heroism and go to back him up. And by back him up, I mean Luffy goes, "You're just going to get in the way," and knocks him out.
Also, I gotta say, this town is really cool. Because they have a 4-story bar called the Drinker Pub.
Yeah, this town's pretty hardcore. I mean, it started off as a like frontier town of some people who had escaped a previous pirate attack and decided to build their own place. So I'm not surprised they went hard on the on the tavern.
Mm-hmm. Oh, but yeah, at this 4-story building is where we get to introduce to the next antagonist, a man who starts off showing that he's got that throat game.
Yeah, this guy,
Kabaji.
Kabaji,
The acrobat.
the acrobat.
I don't know. It's a weird name.
Yeah, he's a weird guy. He's got that that like Sasuke L's like edgy boy energy, but he's also riding a unicycle and calls all of his special moves circus tricks.
Mm-hmm.
He can't be too cool. He's a One Piece character.
Much like his captain, he has to be as rad as he is lame. I do like how Buggy witnesses Luffy's power as he goes to fire a buggy ball. Luffy, and I'm sure was an awakening moment for a shocking amount of people, inflates himself like a balloon, catches the buggy ball, and bounces it back, demolishing the tavern and bringing everyone to an even playing field.
After punching the old man unconscious, which I love.
Yeah. I know, that's so good. It's like, you know what, old man, you're pretty rad. You're getting out there, you're being hardcore and standing up for what's yours, but you're level 2 and this is at least a level 20 battle. So face to wall. Night night.
Because Luffy is chaos.
Luffy is chaos. And Oda didn't want to ride around having a civilian in the middle of this fight. I do like how Moji wakes up just long enough to be like, "That's the rubber man!" So he's not a rub man, he's a rubber man. Yes, that's what I was trying to tell you. Then you lied to me! Yeet. And he gets thrown right into Luffy's kick.
I also like how both Kabaji and Buggy are using people as human shields to shield themselves from the buggy ball.
Yeah. Standing perfectly still, holding up these human shields as if they didn't just plummet 4 stories amidst rubble.
Well, they got a cool pose.
They need to be standing there dramatically as the smoke clears. But we have the fight of Zoro versus Kabaji as the two swordsmen clash. The second mate of Buggy's crew versus the first mate of the Straw Hats. And Kibaji immediately begins using his circus tricks to play dirty. He starts off pretty normal with his breath of death as he breathes fire on Zoro. And his technique is to distract Zoro with some other move and then kick him in the stab wound.
That's a low blow. Like, seriously.
Well, you'd think.
You'd think. And he keeps doing this throughout the entire chapter until Zoro's like, oh yeah? You think you can attack my weak spot? You can't attack my weak spot as well as I can! And stabs himself deeper in that stab wound.
It made sense at the time, I'm sure.
90% of this manga. It made sense at the time.
Is that a big enough handicap for you? Man, Zoro's so cool! Why the hell would you do that?
I'll show you some real swordplay. And they continue their epic battle as Kabaji's tricks just sort of devolve from actually doing like circus things and turning them into stabs into he's just got a unicycle.
And tops. He has lots and lots of tops.
I do like the moment where Kabaji is going to do like the Legend of Zelda finishing move plunging attack on Zoro. Buggy tries to interfere by firing his severed hand to go and grab Zoro and pin him down. And Luffy's just like, keep your hands out of Zoro's duel, and stomps down on his hand, on Buggy's hand. Like, you will not disrespect the ones, you bastard.
Well, more importantly, Zoro's also saying how beating this guy one-on-one is part of his dream and it's really important to him. And that's why Luffy cares about this not getting interrupted, because Luffy doesn't really care about like a fight being unfair.
Yeah, I just love
He's a pirate.
Yeah, I just love Luffy's face. He's so intense.
Mm-hmm.
And that does allow Zoro to out-swordplay Kabaji and defeat him with his final move, the Onigiri, which totally means Demon Slash.
It can mean a lot of things.
It depends on the kanji, 100%.
Well, they said it means Demon Slash, so I guess I have to believe them.
And then Zoro goes back to dying.
I've run out of blood again. I need another nap.
And we have now established the pattern of Zoro defeats their number 2 most powerful guy, and Luffy fights the captain.
As is standard for most shonens.
And just as the fight's starting, we do get a little bit of lore for you lore heads, because Buggy's got a little bit of a line at the end. Hey, wait a second. I gotta say, you and that stupid straw hat remind me of some like insolent little brat with red hair. And you're like, wait a second.
Hold on, you know Shanks? I love this backstory.
This backstory.
It's just Buggy being a moron and blaming it on everybody else.
Oh yeah, Buggy cannot take responsibility for anything.
Because it is revealed through their banter that Buggy and Shanks were once both swabbies on another pirate ship. And after a raid on a vessel, Buggy found a map to a sunken treasure and is like, yes, with this I'll be rich. What's that? You say that we've also taken one of the devil's fruit as part of this voyage. Oh, those are so valuable. I must steal it, but I don't want to be cursed by the seas and not be able to swim. So I made this fake devil fruit that I will publicly eat, so no one will question why the real one is missing. Okay, man, how'd you do that?
Very carefully and with great skill.
And then, as he is crouched behind some barrels, gloating over his victory with both his treasures in his hand, as you do, Shanks just kind of walks up and goes, hey, Buggy, how's it going? And in his shock, Buggy puts the fruit in his mouth. And then Shanks is like, you're just stealing some food? Whatever. Don't let the quartermaster catch you. Actually, I was going to tell you.
It's so stupid. Like,
it's so incredibly dumb.
It is such a parade of nothing. Shanks is barely involved in this.
And the best part is he drops the map to the treasure he was going to go get overboard, jumps after it, forgetting he can no longer swim, starts drowning, and then Shanks has to save his life.
And he's like, that bastard Shanks, he took everything from me. Both of my paydays gone at his hand. It sounds like he saved your life. No, he didn't! That doesn't make up for the treasure I lost!
But yeah, they're having a cool anime power battle.
Yeah. Also, very important, Buggy has always had the big nose.
Yes.
Yes.
He had that as a boy.
He is a clown. To be fair, explains why he might be sensitive about it then.
Yeah.
But we also kind of skimmed over during their fight up to now, Buggy's been mocking the hat, and at one point manages to stab 3 knives through it, and that does not make Luffy happy.
Yeah, at first he accidentally nicks the hat just in the heat of the fight, and then when Luffy shows anger for that, he makes a point of trying to damage it as much as possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yep. And what he's been doing that's really been productive in the fight so far is he's separated himself from his legs and is flying around, throwing blades everywhere, and sees Nami stealing a bunch of stuff from the wreckage, despite the fact she said she didn't rob from villagers. But whatever, Nami.
No. See, Buggy already stole it, so it's no longer the villagers, which means it's now Buggy's, so she's stealing from the pirates.
Yeah, Nami's line in the sand is constantly being redrawn. But
I love the point. She actually uses that logic.
But I love this scene because Luffy is like, it's a very serious scene of he's about to kill Nami, and Luffy's just like, oh hey, his legs are right here, and then we just get getting kicked in the nuts gag.
Yep, because as was revealed earlier, even when the body parts are separated, Buggy still feels pain if you attack the various parts of the body. So since he left his lower half unguarded, Luffy just nails him in the nads. And while that does save Nami's life temporarily, Buggy rises like the phantom he is and continues to try and chase after her. So and he wisely separated his legs and pelvis away from the area of attack and is fleeing. However, his feet have to stay on the ground. So Luffy captures one and coochie coo.
He just starts trolling Buggy.
He really do. You know?
Step on a Lego.
Yeah, he keeps like flip-flopping between doing this as like a Looney Tunes fight and then like real serious moments that Buggy's trying to impose, but like keeps hitting him in the face and like kicking him in the nuts and like tickling him, and like Nami smacks him in the face with treasure at one point,
which lines up Luffy to just full on like football kick him in the face.
And unfortunately, that last kick really shatters him and all his pieces go everywhere. And they find the map to the Grand Line that was part of his treasure, and that's what Nami stole in the first place that really kickstarted this whole thing. And they're like, oh, wow, that's really valuable. And it's like, not so fast, Gum boy. I'm here to stop you. And then page turn, and Buggy is literally just his 2 feet, 2 hands, and his head.
He's a Mr. Potato Head.
Because Nami, the master thief she is, stole the majority of his torso and limbs.
Yep, just tied them all up in a bundle. It's like, hey, Buggy, missing this?
I guess she really does just keep rope around all the time for emergency purposes.
And so Luffy sends Potato Head Buggy flying, blasting off again with the Gum Bazooka.
To his death.
He's definitely dead. He's definitely not going to show up 10 arcs from now and become Pirate Jesus.
He's definitely not going to have one of the biggest and most well-regarded by the fans chapter cover arcs. Wait, 10 arcs? He shows up in like 2 arcs.
Actually, I say Pirate Jesus, but I think there's like 4 of those.
Hey, keep the name Buggy the Clown out of your mouth.
I was referring to Usopp, but okay.
Oh,
hold on there, Sam. We're not there yet.
We have so much pirate Jesus.
Oh my! If we could even possibly ever make it to Dressrosa, that would be amazing. I love Dressrosa, but that alone, that arc would be 4 episodes of our fucking podcast.
So at 200 supporters on the Patreon we don't have, we'll do a year of One Piece.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think there's an amount of money people could give us that it would be feasible.
Worth it.
We'd have to legitimately quit jobs.
Sam, if you want to be a hopeless shill, go ahead. But I mean, whatever.
I don't know. That seems like a good idea to me.
Pay Sam to review One Piece for some reason.
Having been friends with these 3 chuckle fucks for several decades, I am very bereft of dignity, but not that bereft.
Hey, I'm not that old, Sam.
I legit thought you were gonna say, hey, Sam, I'm not your friend.
I would never do that. I'm not you.
Oh boy, we got all the call outs.
Wow.
Oh,
so just reaching out if you'd like to be the 4th member of the Overmanga.
Oh, please. Please, we need to end the episode.
Never.
It ends. I tell you it ends.
One Piece never ends, so I guess this episode will never end.
I do like how our wrap-up is still Zoro lying on the ground bleeding to death.
That's what he does, I thought.
Oh yeah, we need to fix that.
Speaking of how this arc establishes patterns going forward, it is Zoro bleeding to death and the Straw Hats getting chased away by the people they just saved. Admittedly, we got that second part last arc, but...
Yeah, they're like, oh man, it's the pirates who saved us. Wait, no, those are just lousy pirates. Hey, wait, what happened to the mayor? Oh, that loser? I knocked him unconscious. Hey, wait a second.
Nobody beats up our mayor and gets away with it. And then they run away, and Chicho distracts the civilians long enough for them to escape.
I gotta say, I love this for an ending.
It's a very good ending, yes.
They leave like pirates. They stole a crap ton of treasure, and they're being run out of town. Like, perfect.
Mm-hmm. Because they did, in fact, steal a buttload of treasure. Nami,
that presumably originally belonged to the town before Buggy took it.
Yep, Nami divides the treasure in half because it's just easier to carry that way, and gives one of the treasure bags to Luffy, and he's like, yeah, that was too heavy to carry with Zoro, so I just left it behind for them.
I mean, what? Like Nami's reaction is pretty great.
So I had to get Zoro out.
Yeah, and I mean, like, again, this is doing something that a lot of shonen protagonists will pay lip service to, but like One Piece actually like follows through on it and does it well, where Luffy isn't like a traditional like Western comic book hero, but he's a nice guy, you know? And it's like he has to carry his buddy who's injured, and carrying his buddy who's injured and the treasure would be impractical and annoying. And besides, the village could use the money to rebuild all the stuff that got destroyed. So, hey, win-win, right? Like, he's not, he would, like, if he wasn't carrying Zoro, he probably wouldn't have done that, because he's not a, you know, goody two-shoes.
Luffy is very much, like, chaotic, or not chaotic good, but, like, neutral good, because he will do the right thing so long as it doesn't get in the way of his ambition. I suppose that makes him true neutral.
I was going to say chaotic is definitely feeling Luffy, because he actively goes against any attempt to restrain him.
Yeah.
And his moral code is basically just people should defend their dreams. So it's not like he even has a rule and order that he follows. It's literally whatever he's feeling like at the moment. So
I suppose that does bring up the eternal question of, do you consider the law chaos divide as societal or individual? But we're not a D&D podcast either, so...
if you want to check into the Over D&D podcast, that name almost certainly exists.
Anyway, having been sufficiently run out of town as the outlaw heroes that they are, the Straw Hat Pirates set sail once again with another new crew member, And
Well, kind of.
kind of.
Kind
And
of. It's an alliance.
I do love their encounter on the docks with those poor press ganged bastards who have been waiting this entire time. And then it's like, hey, kid, who's this dead weight you've got over your shoulder? Oh, you taking a nap, buddy? Lifts up his head, Zoro. Ow. Ah!
That was an amazing scream.
Yeah.
I love how this our reading ends. A narrator pops out of nowhere. We didn't have a narrator up until now, so I don't know.
We have narrators at the end of arcs to explain that they think that everything's gonna be fine, except no, because the next arc is gonna happen.
And so Nami the thief joins Luffy's crew, and the two ships set out to the sea together. Little do they know that soon they'll have to face the trial of the forest, which I'm just going to spoil this for you now, is drastically overselling the next arc.
I suppose there are technically trees on Usopp's home island.
Nope, you're thinking of the wrong arc.
Oh, is it the little barrel gremlin?
Yes, it is the arc most people forget exists.
Right, the little barrel gremlin.
They swap the order around in the anime so that Usopp can be in this arc for next arc, because this arc is so drastically boring. It needs.
Great. So next week we're gonna do another One Piece episode.
No, we're doing Eden Zero. Spoilers.
All right, I won't complain about that.
But that does bring us to the end of our reading. So, as always with a shonen, we have to ask the eternal question: favorite character and favorite fight. Last week I said that Luffy was my favorite character. This definitely was the beginning of what I remember as a kid watching the One Piece anime and saying, man, Zoro is the coolest. And is it the nostalgia of a 10-year-old Sam thinking that the guy with 3 swords had to be the coolest? A little bit, yeah. But he also got some really ballin' fights, so I'll take it. And as for favorite fight, I want to say Kabaji because Zoro fight, but Kabaji's just so fucking annoying. I couldn't wait for him to get his ass beat. Meanwhile, Moji is equally annoying, but pile driving a lion into supremely realistic jaw-cracking punch into the diabolical rub technique. It's Luffy versus Moji. I love that so much. It's barely a fight, but it is so thematically appropriate that I adore it. Jacob, how about you?
This time, I think for this section of reading, I'm going to have to go with Luffy. He has by far the most range. Not to say that Zoro isn't great, because yeah, he is. He's amazing. And I like the as his current potential of Nami. I do know at least some of where she develops into as a character circa the anime. But just for this section alone, Luffy has a lot of he has a lot of dynamic moments, a lot of character informing moments that really work well. And again, it does a lot of stuff that is standard shonen tropes. Other manga will coattail ride things like Dragon Ball or JoJo's, and One Piece puts in the work. It is not cribbing from anything else. It is doing well-worn tropes, but doing them right. And Luffy is, in my opinion, the best expression of that in this section. Luffy is going to be my favorite character. As for favorite fight, a lot of this is still in the phase of we have to establish that our protagonist is an unrelenting, unstoppable badass. So there was a lot of this where I was sort of waiting for it to, rev up and get into gear. And boy, did it when Luffy started fighting Buggy, particularly the beginning of that fight, because it descends into gags and it makes sense to. And I liked the gags. But man, the beginning of Luffy and Buggy's fight, when the two of them were just shonen fighting, I loved that. That had a lot of great choreography.
It's our first time seeing 2 devil fruit users fight, and it's an interesting clash of powers as the Rubber Man fights the guy who can become knack for the PlayStation.
I mean, they double dipped on this at least one extra time, but the Luffy going in for a clothesline only to have Buggy pop his head off to dodge. The paneling on like the kinetics of their movement was really well done.
Yeah, it's a chance for Oda to show off a more dynamic fight, and it's a good showing. Matt, how about you? Favorite character, favorite fight?
Oh, in this arc, I mean, Luffy's a real easy pick. But just to be a mildly different, Nami is really good in this arc as well. She gets
a very strong introduction.
yeah, you know who she is. You get a lot. You don't even get like her sappy backstory, so it doesn't feel like forced on you like Zoro's kind of did. So you just get character moments of her alluding to a sappy backstory and like what she's about. And connected to that, I really enjoyed the fight with Luffy versus Buggy because of how much Nami helps. It is really the two of them are taking on, frankly, a slightly stronger opponent. Like Luffy's just hard countered is really the problem here.
Yeah, because his gum powers, what's he going to do against the guy that can divide when his entire thing is just using rubber band ability to deliver really good punches?
Yeah, stretching real far isn't real good for the person who can fly.
I mean, he had already been beaten by a bird. I guess Luffy is weak to flying types.
All right. And Jay, favorite character, favorite fight?
Going to have to say, I'm going to have to echo the sentiments that I expressed last go around. I have to give it to my man Zoro. He seems to be the voice of reason in this
Wow.
this cacophony of chaos, and I'll leave it at that.
Jay, this man stabs himself in the gut to even the playing field.
That makes sense. Somehow. Anyway. So my favorite fight would have to be the fight between Luffy and Moji, but specifically from the angle of, avenging. Is it Shosho?
Cho-Cho.
Cho-Cho.
Choo-choo, chow-chow.
The dog.
Cha-cha.
That was a very pivotal moment for me because it shows me that Luffy can kind of rise above what I perceive to be just insane chaos to actually stand for something like firm and solid. It's like, no, I'm going to cast all of this aside and actually just kick your ass because you did something really bad. So that was my favorite fight, my most principal fight, and Zoro or die. No, until Sanji shows up.
Until the man himself, yes. So, as is always the question, would you continue reading? Matt, you're exempt from this because you are caught up.
Yay, I don't have to do work.
Yay! So, as might be alluded to by our jabbering earlier, I did forget the order of the arcs, but I know Usopp is nigh, and God, I love Usopp, so I would keep reading just to see my boy again. Sniper, liar, he's everything to me.
Modeled your entire life after him, I believe.
Just tell me your favorite. Just tell me if you keep reading, Jake.
If you recall from last week, I mentioned that, like on the section that we did alone, I felt the early installment weirdness, growing pains, and I would definitely continue reading because I know how good One Piece is from my prior experiences with it. This section, on the other hand, I felt the part where everything snapped into place and One Piece found its footing and started the insane run that it has been on for all these years. From this section, even taking away all my prior experience and knowledge of One Piece, taking away the 1,000+ chapter count, from this section alone, hell yeah, I'd continue reading. This is an amazing bit of manga, and it is 100% my genre. It's doing it in a well thought out and fresh way. This is my jam, and this is why I want to someday grind through the insurmountable mountain of One Piece.
All right, and Jay.
With the promise of eventually Sanji being introduced, yes. If we're asking for my personal opinion about this series overall, only if it were recommended. I have to be that person who
Three out of 4 podcast members approve of One Piece.
That is the unique thing about One Piece.
mean,
when a series is 20 years old.
If I'm honest, dear readers, this was at the time where there were a whole bunch of new shonen series coming out. I gave One Piece an honest chance, and for the very reasons my co-hosts love Luffy, I absolutely abhor him. It's chaos. He is a 16, 17-year-old young man and acts like an 8-year-old. That is a no for me. Just
it's so funny though. Be funny. You gotta be funny.
Yeah, I got the same with Naruto, but he's more age appropriate, is my argument. So at a young age, when I was the target demographic. I'm dating myself here. I gravitated to Naruto. One Piece was kind of like, eh.
Man, pray they never do a live action Naruto adaptation because I don't want to start that rabbit hole either.
Don't let Netflix hear you.
Next, No Read November.
Literally,
the live action Naruto movie.
Literally, all I will tolerate is getting up to Zabuza. At that point, I'm done. Anyway, thank you everyone once again for listening to the Over Manga Cast. As always, you can find us on all of your social medias where we are at Over Manga Cast.
We're also on YouTube where you can like, comment, and subscribe, get us that engagement. The episodes go up on a 2-week delay there, so we also have overmangacast.com with all of our newest episodes, and it even has a comment feature, so you can tell us what you think of the episode, give us some suggestions, anything you like.
And as always, we appreciate reviews in any and all forms. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anything that will let you give us a star rating and say how much you love us. Or you can just reach out to us over mangacast@gmail.com. We've got a bit of a backlog of getting back to people, but that's because we don't know how to manage our time.
This is accurate.
Between relevant releases and the fact that we are approaching the 2 months of theme episodes, it might be a while, but that's for the future. For now, make sure to tune in next week, or we are going to be a different variety of pirate. We're going to be space pirates and reading Eden Zero, chapters 49 through 68. Not nice.
We'll get there. Don't you worry.
So make sure to read that if you're keeping up with the show, and we will see you all next Thursday. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Ah, yes, they're gone. Now to continue watching the live-action One Piece TV show that totally exists at the time I am recording this. It's very good how they have Nami and Usopp and Chopper, maybe? I don't know.
Hey, did somebody leave the lights on in the... Matt, what are you doing?
Well, Jacob, it's come to this. I need to kill you.
Arlong looks like an asshole.